The griot speaks. Ndibi Oni, gather close. The moon has risen full, and the night drums echo like hearts pounding in fear. This is not a story for children with soft ears. It is the story of Omelu, the maiden whose beauty cursed the land, and whose hair became the chain that bound the living to the dead. Listen well, for the spirits lean close when their names are remembered. Long ago, in the ancient Igbo village of Umuaka, there lived a maiden named Omelu. Her beauty was whispered across neighboring villages, her skin was dark and radiant like midnight after rainfall, and her eyes glistened like the sacred waters of Idemalai. But what made Omelu different was her hair. It was said her hair grew longer than the waist of any woman, black and thick as the night sky. It flowed down like a river, and when she walked, it dragged gently on the red earth. Elders often shook their heads and muttered, Modu Abugichi, human beings should not look like gods. Omelu's hair is a sign, whether of blessing or of curse, only the spirits know. The young men of Umuaka fought endlessly for her attention. But Omelu was proud. She dismissed suitors with a laugh, saying, Omelu, why should I tie myself to a man whose soul is smaller than my shadow? Her arrogance began to grow like weeds, and soon the elders called a meeting at the Obi of Izoku, the king of Umuaka. Izoku, sternly, a maiden who mocks men mocks the gods that made her. Her hair may be her crown, but perhaps it is also her burden. We must seek the wisdom of the gods. The villagers murmured in agreement, for strange things had begun to happen. At night, people swore they saw Omelu's hair moving by itself, riding like snakes. Children cried in their sleep, whispering that her hair brushed their faces when they dreamed. The Dibia, priest of the gods, was called. His name was Okaik, an old man with white chalk always streaked across his forehead. He was known for seeing the thin line between worlds. He arrived at the king's obi with his cattle whisk and kola nut in a carved wooden bowl. After the kola was broken and shared, he spoke. Dibia Okaik, the spirits are restless. Omelu's hair is no ordinary hair. It is a covenant, bound long before she was born. Omelu, defiantly, standing before the elders, Dibia, my hair is mine. It is not the business of spirits or men. Why do you all tremble at beauty? Dibia Okaik is narrowing the child, pride is the mask that covers danger. Your hair belongs to Ezewani Miri, the queen of the waters. When you comb it, she watches. When you wash it, she drinks. When you sleep, she braids it with the fingers of the dead. If you do not humble yourself, your hair will not only drag you down, it will drag this entire village into the earth. A heavy silence filled the obi. The crackle of the fire was the only sound. But Omelu laughed out. Omelu, old man, your tongue is heavy with lies. My hair is my pride. Let the queen of the waters come for it if she dares. Gasps filled the hut. No one mocked the gods so openly. Izoku's staff struck the ground in anger. Izoku, enough. If the Dibia wants, then we must act. Omelu, you will go to the river shrine tomorrow with offerings. You must appease the queen of the waters. But Omelu spat on the ground. Omelu, I will not bow to spirits that fear my beauty. If the gods are powerful, let them cut my hair themselves. And with that, she stormed out into the night. The Dibia sighed, shaking his head. Dibia Okaik, the python that refuses to crawl straight, will meet the cutlass. We have warned her. Now the spirits will teach their own lesson. The villagers went home in fear. That night, the moon was hidden by clouds, and dogs howled as if something unseen passed among them. That night, Omelu lay in her hut, combing her long hair with a wooden comb carved from the Iroko tree. The fire crackled, casting long shadows against the mud walls. As she drew the comb through her thick strands, she paused. The hair whispered. Not the rustle of strands brushing each other, no, this was whispering like voices underwater. Lo, murmuring, ancient. She froze. Omelu whispering, who speaks? The whispers grew louder, rising like a chorus. She felt her scalp burn, as if unseen hands were tugging her roots. Her reflection in the clay pot of water near her shimmered, and she saw not her face, but a pale woman with fish-like eyes and a crown of shells. Ezenwani Mary's voice, you mock me, child. You wear my hair and call it yours. You will pay with breath and with blood. Omelu screamed, dropping the comb. Her hair slithered like living ropes, winding around her wrists, her ankles. She struggled, gasping as the strands tightened. Suddenly, the door of her hut burst open. Her childhood friend Obiajulu, a brave young man, ran in. Obiajulu, Omelu. What is this? He rushed to her, hacking at the hair with his machete. But the strands would not cut, they coiled around the blade, dragging it from his hand. Only when he shouted, Chinik Equila ka Ojumeru Oni. God forbid evil upon us, did the hair suddenly loosen and fall still. Omelu collapsed, trembling, her eyes wide with terror. Omelu, weakly, Obiajulu, my hair, it moves by itself. Obiajulu, the Dibia warned you. This is no ordinary beauty. You must submit to the shrine, or we will all suffer. But even in her fear, Omelu's pride smoldered. She spat blood from her lip where the hair had cut her. Omelu, no spirit will own me. If they want war, I will give them war. At dawn, villagers woke to wails from the compound of Nwani Neka, a young mother. Her child had been found lifeless, black strands of hair coiled tightly around his tiny neck. The people gathered in horror. Who could do such a thing? But whispers pointed quickly to Omelu. Villager 1, her hair moves at night. Villager 2, the Dibia warned us. Villager 3, the gods have chosen their vessel for destruction. The mother, Neka, wailed and tore her wrapper, pointing at Omelu's hot dot. Neka, give me her blood. My child cannot die while she lives. The king ordered Omelu brought before the council. She stood tall, though her face was pale from sleepless terror. Is Oku, furious Omelu, blood stains your pride. This child's life is on your head. You must go to the shrine at Idemalai River. You will kneel before the water queen and beg forgiveness. But Omelu only smiled faintly, though her eyes flickered with fear. Omelu, let the water queen come for me herself. I will not crawl. A heavy silence fell. The villagers looked at each other, dread filling their hearts. Refusing the king's word was unthinkable, but to defy the gods openly. It was a death wish. The Dibia Okaik spoke, his voice trembling. Dibia Okaik, mark this night. If she does not yield, the spirits will take more blood. That night, 3 more people died. Each strangled by long black strands found around their huts. Dogs barked at nothing. Palms bent without wind. The earth itself seemed to breathe. The people no longer whispered, they shouted. Villager says in unison, burn her hair. Burn it before it burns us all. By decree of his Oku, Omelu was seized and dragged to the village square. The men tied her to a post, while others gathered bundles of dry wood. Omelu struggled, her hair already riding like black serpents. Omelu, screaming, you fools! You think fire will harm me? This hair is the river's own blood. The Dibia Okaik shook his rattle, chanting, calling on the gods to cleanse the land. Flames roared as the wood caught fire. The villagers stepped back, watching eagerly. But as the flames touched her hair, the fire hissed and died. Not even smoke rose. Instead, the strands grew longer, spreading like roots into the ground. The earth split. A foul smell of river mud and death filled the air. From the cracks came a voice, deep and chilling. Ezenwani Mary, she is mine. You cannot burn what belongs to the deep. The villagers screamed and fled, leaving even the king trembling on his stool. Omelu laughed, though tears streamed down her cheeks. Omelu, you see. Even fire cannot touch me. This hair is my power. But Dibia Okaik shook his head gravely. Dibia Okaik, power. No, child. This is a chain. And chains do not set the captive free, they only drag them deeper into the dark. The elders decided to summon the Ogwagu masquerade, one of the fiercest spirits of Igbo land, feared even by children at midday. They believed only Ogwagu could fight the Water Queen's grip on Omelu. That night, the square was filled with drummers. The masquerade appeared, towering, masked in raffia and feathers, carrying a whip of fire. The crowd trembled, for this was no man in costume but spirit in flesh. Ogwagu, Bumin, who defies the balance of words. Dibia Okaik, great spirit, it is Omelu. She carries hair that belongs to the River Queen. Blood stains our soil because of her pride. The masquerade turned its glowing eyes on Omelu. Her hair writhed wildly, slapping against the ground, snapping at the spirit like snakes. Omelu mocking, even spirits fear my hair. Who among you can touch me? The masquerade roared, raising its whip of fire, striking the strands. Sparks flew. For the first time, Omelu screamed as her hair burned at the tips. But then the strands buried themselves in the soil, drinking the river's strength, regrowing instantly. Omelu, defiant, your fire cannot defeat water. Suddenly, the ground cracked wider. From beneath surged a figure, Ezenwani Mary herself. Her body shimmered with scales, her crown glittered with cowries, and her eyes were deep wells of hunger. The villagers fell to the ground, weeping in terror. Ezenwani Mary, Omelu mocked me. Now, she is mine. And all who sheltered her will feel my hunger. The masquerade struck again, but the queen's waters doused its fire. The spirit retreated, vanishing into smoke. The villagers wailed, abandoned even by their strongest protector. Omelu's laughter cracked the night, but it was not her own, it was the queen's, spilling from her throat. When the masquerade vanished in smoke, and the queen of the waters rose to claim Omelu, many villagers abandoned hope. They fled into the night, carrying their children, whispering that Umuaka was cursed forever. But one man remained, Obiajulu, Omelu's childhood friend. His chest burned with rage and sorrow as he watched the woman he once loved become the vessel of a spirit. That night, he sat at the edge of the forest, his face lit by the dying flame of a torch. He ground chalk into white powder and pressed it on his chest. Obiajulu, praying, ancestors, give me strength. If Omelu will not bow, then I will bow on her behalf. If she will not fight, then I will fight in her place. Let her soul not be lost to the river. He went to the hut of Dibia Okaik, who sat weak and trembling, his face drawn from the night's terror. Obiajulu, Dibia, there must be a way. Teach me what to do. I will go even into the belly of the river if it means saving her. The Dibia shook his head, sighing. Dibia Okaik, you are brave, child, but bravery without wisdom is a goat that runs into the lion's den. To challenge the Water Queen, you must first pass through the Ohia Ohomio, the forest of cursed spirits. Only there can you find the Aikno staff, a relic forged by the first men. With it, you can cut the chain binding Omelu's hair to the queen. Obiajolu's eyes hardened. Obiajolu, then I will go. Show me the path. The Dibia placed his bony hand on Obiajolu's shoulder. Dibia Okaik, the path is not shown. It is found. Take kola nut, take a cock for sacrifice, and take courage, for only courage shines where sunlight cannot reach. Obiajolu set out before dawn, the sky painted grey with sorrow. He carried a small calabash, the white cock tied at his side, and a machete in his hand. The Ohia Ohomio was feared by all. Children were warned never to wander near, for voices were said to call from within, voices of ancestors who died angry and unburied. As Obiajolu stepped under its twisted trees, the air grew heavy. The forest floor was damp, smelling of rot. Whispers brushed his ears. Voices, turn back, Son of man, your bones will feed the earth, she is already gone. Obiajulu pressed forward, muttering Igbo proverbs under his breath to steal his heart. A man who carries truth walks with fire. A hunter who fears bush does not eat meat. Suddenly, shadows formed ahead. Figures of men and women with hollow eyes, their hair crawling with worms. They reached out, their voices echoing. Spirit.When, Obiajulu, we know you. You poured libation on your father's grave. Come with us. Join us. He shook his head. Obiajulu, my journey is not with the dead. It is with the living. He drew the kola nut, split it with his machete, and cast it on the ground. The spirit hissed and retreated into the trees. Deeper he went until he came upon a clearing. There, on a stone altar, stood the Ikno staff, carved with horns of a ram, glowing faintly as though alive. But guarding it was a creature, half man, half leopard, with claws like cutlasses. Its eyes burned with eternal hunger. The beast roared and lunged. Obiajulu dodged, slashing with his machete, but the blade shattered like palm wine gourd. In desperation, he grabbed the white cock, slit its throat, and smeared its blood across his chest. Obiajulu, shouting, Ikno, Father of strength, I call upon you. The staff pulsed with light. The beast froze, howling, before crumbling into dust. Obiajulu seized the Ikno, feeling power surge through his veins. By the time Obiajulu returned, the village of Umuaka was in chaos. Omelu, possessed by the queen, walked through the square with her hair dragging behind like a net of serpents. Wherever it touched, crops withered, chickens died, and children fainted. The villagers begged for mercy, but the queen laughed through Omelu's lips. Ezenwani Miri spoke through Omelu, you mocked me. Now, you are mine forever. Your land will sink beneath my waters, and your children will serve me in the depths. Just as she raised her hands, Obiajulu appeared, Ikno staff in hand. Obiajulu shouting said, Ezenwani, leave her. She belongs not to the river but to the land of her ancestors. The queen's eyes narrowed. Ezenwani, foolish boy. Do you think wood can fight water? She unleashed torrents of black hair, whipping at Obiajulu like vipers. He raised the Ikno, and the staff glowed, cutting through the strands. Omelu screamed as pieces of her hair burned to ash. The earth shook. The river near the village rose, spilling its banks, flooding yam barns and washing goats away. Lightning split the sky. Obiajulu, Omelu. Fight her. Remember who you are. Remember your people. For a moment, her true voice broke through the queen's dot. Omelu, crying, Obiajulu, help me. I cannot, she is too strong. Obiajulu struck the ground with the Ikno, and the spirits of the ancestors appeared, shadowy but mighty. They surrounded Omelu, chanting, beating invisible drums. Ancestors, in unison, child of Umuaka, pride blinds. Humility saves. Kneel, and you will be free. Omelu fell to her knees, sobbing. Her long hair right, twisting violently, before snapping free from her scalp, falling in heaps around her like slain serpents. The hair hissed, shrieked, then melted into black water that sank into the earth. The queen's scream echoed across the night, fading back into the river. The waters calmed. The ground stilled. Omelu collapsed, bald, weak, but alive. When dawn came, the villagers gathered around the square, their faces pale with awe. Omelu lay in the dust, her once glorious hair gone, her pride broken. Izoku stood, leaning on his staff. Izoku, Omelu, beauty without humility is a curse. You mocked the gods, and the gods mocked you in return. But you are spared because of Obiajulu's courage. The Dibia Okaik added, his voice heavy, Dibia Okaik, let this be a lesson to all, no gift is greater than the gods who give it. Pride turns blessing to burden. Remember this tale when you see a maiden's long hair, lest you forget what lies beneath beauty. Omelu wept, clinging to Obiajulu's feet. Omelu, softly, I was blind, Obiajulu. Forgive me. But Obiajulu only lifted her up, his eyes full of sorrow. Obiajulu, forgiveness is yours. But the dead cannot return. The price has already been paid. The villagers buried the cursed hair deep in the forest, never to be spoken of again. Crops began to grow once more, and the land healed slowly. Ndibi Oni, this is how Umuaka learned that pride is heavier than iron, and beauty without humility is like a drum without skin, it makes only empty noise. Omelu lived, but her glory was cut. Obiajulu became a legend, but his heart carried scars. And the river? Oh, the river still waits, still whispers, for beauty always tempts the gods. Moral of the story. In the wisdom of our ancestors. Pride invites destruction, humility invites protection. No gift belongs fully to man, it is borrowed from the gods. True beauty is not in hair or skin but in the character that bends before wisdom. Omelu, beauty without humility is a curse. You mocked the gods, and the gods mocked you in return. But you are spared because of Obiajulu's courage. The Dibia Okaik added, his voice heavy, Dibia Okaik, let this be a lesson to all, no gift is greater than the gods who give it. Pride turns blessing to burden. Remember this tale when you see a maiden's long hair, lest you forget what lies beneath beauty. Omelu wept, clinging to Obiajulu's feet. Omelu, softly, I was blind, Obiajulu. Forgive me. But Obiajulu only lifted her up, his eyes full of sorrow. Obiajulu, forgiveness is yours. But the dead cannot return. The price has already been paid. The villagers buried the cursed hair deep in the forest, never to be spoken of again. Crops began to grow once more, and the land healed slowly. Ndibi Oni, this is how Umuaka learned that pride is heavier than iron, and beauty without humility is like a drum without skin, it makes only empty noise. Omelu lived, but her glory was cut. Obiajulu became a legend, but his heart carried scars. And the river? Oh, the river still waits, still whispers, for beauty always tempts the gods. Moral of the story. In the wisdom of our ancestors. Pride invites destruction, humility invites protection. No gift belongs fully to man, it is borrowed from the gods. True beauty is not in hair or skin but in the character that bends before wisdom.